Well, hi everyone. My name is Christy Vander Westhuizen. I am lucky enough to be the Vice President of Sales and Marketing here at MBK Senior Living. And we have a treat for everyone on this webinar. We have Donald McGraw here. He is the Director of Resident Enrichment, but MBK Fit instructor at the Reserve at Thousand Oaks, which is one of our MBK communities, one of our 33 MBK communities. And I hope you just enjoy his presence as much as I do. He is extremely talented and has a great personality, and man, can make us work up a sweat sometimes. So let me tell you a little bit about Donald. He has a graduate degree in kinesiology, specializing in adaptive exercise. He has over 15 years of experience working with seniors and individuals with disabilities. For over the last 10 years, he has been working in senior living to create unique fitness programming and improve senior mobility. Prior to senior living, though, he worked with the Christopher Reeves Foundation for Spinal Cord Injury Recovery and Neurological Disorders. Again, he has been 2 years with MBK and has grown and promoted the MBK Fit signature program. And last but not least, he currently lives in Topanga, California with his wife, Jessica, and 2 beautiful daughters, Mia and Fiona. So please welcome everyone, Donald McGraw.
Thank you very much, Christy, for that introduction. Might just kind of add a few things onto that. I'm currently working in Thousand Oaks at one of the MBK senior living communities, the Reserve. That is where my office is, but like Christy said, I'm helping to promote the MBK Fit program through the MBK portfolio. I'm very lucky and very happy to be a part of the MBK team. My graduate work, like Christy said, is I specialize in working with people with disabilities and injuries, from Parkinson's, stroke, cerebral palsy, hip replacement, knee replacements, amputations. So the great thing is that, for you at home or people that work with me, is that no matter what things you have going on, special considerations you might have, I usually have seen it, and we can definitely find ways for you to exercise. And always, you could look at the other way if you maybe feel like you can't exercise. My degree really helps to find the ways that people are able to exercise, and our ability to adapt and accommodate and really show that everybody can exercise. And that's really what today's presentation is about. So today we're going to cover a few things. So if we look at the agenda, we're going to take you on an emotional exercise fitness roller coaster, from things like, I know about exercise, and I'll start tomorrow, and I exercise, I do this and this and this, and I'm going to tell you about something that somebody once said, and that there's even a law of inactivity. We're going to talk about having a bad shoulder, or I have a hip problem, or I can't exercise. And I'm hoping to leave you in a place where you realize that if you're not currently exercising, that you can actually exercise, that it is accessible to you at home, a place where you maybe feel like you can start to do things, or maybe that there are even more things that you can do. So the overall agenda is really to change your perspective of what exercise is, so that you can really see that it is something that is attainable for you. All right. So let's start out with what we all currently know, for the most part, whether it be from TV or magazines, newspapers, your kids, specialists, doctors. Everybody always says that you need to exercise, which is a really broad stroke. So we really all know that it's going to help with our physical ability, improve our life expectancy, injury reduction, fall prevention. We all really know all those general benefits of it. Something that's not necessarily talked about as much is the mental benefits of exercising. You might know that maybe after you've exercised, you feel better about yourself, right? Improves self-esteem and confidence. I think it goes saying that we all like when we have accomplished something. It feels good. We feel better about it. We don't necessarily like it when we feel like we haven't accomplished anything. So there's really important changes that happen from just getting small amounts of exercise. And so, we're going to talk about how we can make those changes, how, the benefits of the physical movement. It's not like our brain and our bodies are separate, right? They work together. So any physical movement you have is going to have a really lasting effect on reducing your chances of Alzheimer's and dementia, right? It's been proven that it helps improve the function of brain cells. And you can even see here on my slide that, there's a 30-year Harvard study which, it can potentially reduce your lifespan by 12 to 14 years and cut your risk of Alzheimer's in half. So like I said, we all pretty much know these things. We know it's really good for us, and there's potential that you are not getting as much as you would like, or you're not getting it at all. And so that's, again, what we're going to really continue to talk about today. Okay, the general, most likely ways that most people end up keeping exercise out of their lives, and this is not senior dependent. This is pretty much every age group. Somebody at some time has said these things when it comes to exercise, which is they don't have time, that it hurts, I don't feel like it, which is one of the hardest barriers to overcome. I can't do that, or maybe I'll do it when I get a little stronger. When I'm able to do that, I'll start doing it. I never had to exercise before. Why do I need to start right now? I don't know where to start. And lastly, I don't like gyms or can't make it to the gym. So how do we combat these things? We've got to really start to break it down. And when you hear that annoying word that I've already said 30 times, which is exercise, what are some of the things that come to your mind? For most people, it's potentially things that are on the floor, from push-ups to sit-ups, running on a treadmill. Especially as we age, these things become very intimidating. We've seen all these things on TV. We see ad for them. We see advertisements for the best fitness equipment that's going to get you in the best shape. None of that stuff really connects with any senior at all, and they're pretty intimidating. You might even see videos of group classes, right? People exercising, stepping on things and working hard and dripping in sweat. And, that's what we tend to mostly think about when we think of exercise. And if you're a senior, a lot of those ideas right there lead to the worry of having the shoulder pain and the aches and the soreness and the wrist brace that you might have to wear, or running on a treadmill. That idea might make you really worried that your knees are going to hurt, or that just walking does make your knees hurt. So where we want to go is in this final picture is where if you look at these ladies, we're really hitting all things here, right? They're outdoors, their socialization, they're moving. It's not a dynamic, scary movement whatsoever, but they're moving and they're exercising. Now, of course, I know right now because of COVID, we're not in a situation where we want to be in large groups or anything like that. But, I could easily, as a fitness professional, take a look at this picture and realize that, the woman all the way on the right, her left arm is bent and that should be more straight, and her right knee is kind of bending, and the woman in the middle, well, she could probably lean over a little bit more to help with the stretch. But that's nitpicking. The overall goal is that these ladies here, they're moving, they're smiling, they're outdoors, and that's what we want. We want it to be attainable. And what you're going to see is that they could have literally just walked out, which they probably did, took a few photos, but they exercised and they probably went home. So why is just something as simple as that considered exercise? So let's talk about it. So we look at the definition of exercise. This is any physical activity that is done in order to become stronger and healthier. It could be a particular movement or series of movements that are done to become stronger and healthier. And it's something that is done or practiced to develop a particular skill. That word skill is going to be really important here. So there's lots of different overall definitions of exercise, but mostly it's a series of movements done to try and become, however you want to say it, stronger, healthier, move better, more active, feel better about yourself, right? That's what exercise is. And now we want to compare it to what an activity of daily living is, which is anything you do every day. Generalization is eating, taking a shower, getting dressed, getting out of a chair. I'm going to reel off right here a couple more examples that might come to mind when it comes to activities of daily living. Walking upstairs, walking around a block, getting in and out of a car, putting or grabbing an item on a high shelf, walking faster to get to the bathroom, right? Or other reasons too, we end up having to speed it up a little bit. Maneuvering around tight spaces, getting off and on the floor, getting out of a low couch, anything you have to do in your daily life, right? And these are all skills. These are skills that we have. These are skills that we need to maintain, and they're skills that we can lose, right? For a lot of people, the idea of going up and down stairs is something they don't pertain anymore. They don't think about anymore because it's so scary. Well, at some point, that skill of going up and down the stairs, it was done less, right? That activity of living was done less. So the less it was done, the scarier and scarier it got. And then eventually that skill was lost. So as we age, activities of daily living, they are skills that are lost. And we've got to do things to try to keep them. Because as you age, you do less and less and less. So there's one more activity of daily living that for some people might be kind of a bummer to hear, but there's a reason I'm pointing it out. And that is when I have conversations with a lot of seniors and I ask them, what are you doing exercise-wise right now? Well, a common response is, well, every day I wake up, after I have my breakfast, I grab my 1 pound weight and I do 10 curls up, my arms up to the side 10 times. I lift it over my head 10 times. I hold onto a chair. I do 10 kicks this way, that way, and then I walk around my block. And I say, great, that is wonderful. Do you ever do more? No, I do that 10 times each one. Do you ever try to go a little bit faster on the walk around your block? No, do that walk around the block. And I say, every day you do these things? Every day. And I say, great, we're not exercising anymore. The movement is fantastic. It's not that I want you to stop doing that, but if it's done every day, the same amount, it is now an activity of daily living. It is a skill that you are just keeping the ability to do. You're not working harder to keep those skills. And that's where the next principle comes into play, which is Wolff's Law, said law, right? And Wolff's Law said what? So in order to take something into the exercise realm, we want to apply this said principle, which is specific adaptation to impose demands. Now, Wolff first identified this principle, this law, when it came to bone density growth, and then it transitioned more into muscular growth and the adaptation of ligaments and I'm losing my brain. Ligaments and anyways, I can't even remember. So the said principle is a specific adaptation to imposed demand. So if we put an imposed demand on your body will specifically adapt to it. So if you are doing the same exercises every day and never putting a new demand on your body, it's not going to improve, right? So we've got to find ways to take what you are doing every day and put an imposed demand on top of it. As we age, muscle mass, it decreases, right? But your strength, coordination, and balance can still improve. And strength and coordination is what's really important. So, we're used to thinking of you get stronger means your muscles get bigger. Well, it doesn't really happen as you age. But what happens is the patterning of a muscle group improves, right? If you think about, your bicep, right? Okay, it's not one giant muscle. It's thousands of little tiny muscles that individual nerves go into and they fire collectively. So when you exercise, those nerves, that patterning to make that large muscle coordinate to be stronger improves. So that's what makes it so important as you age. It's not that you're getting stronger, you're getting bigger muscles. It's that the muscles, their coordinated patterning is getting better. And on top of that, if you take all those small muscles and each bigger muscle, and then all those bigger muscles have to work together for your entire body to do anything, right? Everything we do in our lives, like that, the activity of daily living that I talked about, which is grabbing something and putting it up on the shelf. Well, it's not just your shoulder that has to do it. We think that it's just a shoulder that has to do it, but your entire body has to be balancing, right? All your muscle structure has to be holding your entire body up so that the arm can lift that thing up onto the shelf. So it's a coordinated pattern. And as we age, if we don't impose a demand on our body to improve that coordinated patterning, well, then we're going to start to lose it, right? And so we don't want that to happen. We want to show our body that it can be improved. And so I kind of want to just a simple exercise here. You know, I want you to think, you know, can sitting or standing be an exercise? So think about that. And we're going to go to the next slide, and I'm going to just talk about posture, and then we're going to apply that to that question. So here's really one of the most common postural deviations we have as people age, right? Okay, so what I want you to think about is that the posture from the left all the way to the right, it has a compounding factor. Meaning you have a set group of muscles that are meant to keep good posture. And as you slowly tend to not turn those postural muscles on correctly, this is where the onset over time, you know, it's not exact, but you got to think about the posture from the left to the right. You're looking at 30, 40 years, right? Or 20, 10 years. There's other factors that come into play, injuries, right? Certainly injuries can play a factor too, but overall your body has been given a set of muscles that are meant to coordinate and keep good posture. And that slow loss of posture resets your internal default, which is that if you slightly stand, you know, a little bit out of posture, your spinal cord goes to a default mode, meaning that becomes the new normal. And you start losing the recognition that you are actually not standing with good posture. Most likely all of you who saw this picture right away sat up taller, right? Right away sat up taller as soon as you saw this picture. Meaning that you didn't even realize it until you had a reminder about your posture. So what we want to talk about is, what we're talking about is this factor, this loss of posture compounds over time, right? As you can see, as you deviate away from homeostasis, which is on the left, right? You know, if you have a posture that's similar to the lady who's on the right, you'll look, I'm not expecting you to ever go back to the woman on the left, but you still have those muscles. You still have those muscles that are designed to get you back closer to homeostasis. So it takes a cognitive, a conscious effort to move, to turn those muscles back on to hopefully keep your posture from getting worse. That loss of postural strength, it just leads to, it leads to so many more opportunities for injury, pain, discomfort. I mean, if you think about it, right, you're away from homeostasis. You're away from where your body was designed to be. So more muscle groups have to make up for that instability that is now there from the loss of posture, and that dysfunctional movement that is occurring from that loss of posture, right? If you can think about the woman on the right, she's gonna really struggle to put something above her head because of how her shoulders have rounded forward. Her shoulder joint is gonna have to move more to get something above her head. And as she does that, she's really gonna strain through her neck, right? And as people are in the position on the right, they tend to have much more neck pain, discomfort, tension, right? Through the trapezius here. Okay, so, and that leads to an overall loss of enjoyment in activities and life, of course, because of the discomfort and the pain. Not to mention your body is already instantly out of balance as you continue to lose your posture. And the lower extremities make up for this too. So a lot of times when people have a major postural deviations similar to the right, they will end up having things like their knees will start to bend more, right? Their head, they'll pull their head up more. So their hips get tighter. There's a whole number of factors that happen with this loss of posture. So how does this information we have here apply to the question of can sitting or standing, that activity of daily living, actually become an exercise? And I'll just show you right now how simple it is to take an activity of daily living into an exercise. And so what I want you all to do before you start reading that slide, I want you to just scoot back in your chair. Most likely all of you are sitting down. Okay, I want you to just lightly draw your shoulders down and back. I want you to take your chin like it's flat on a table, slightly pull your head back, and then I want you to feel like somebody's pulling your head up to the ceiling. Okay, lightly turn your tummy on tighter. Okay, and now we haven't done much movement, but you should feel a whole lot of muscles turned on right now. And you should realize that just the act of moving yourself into better posture or more towards a more idealistic posture, you are already doing an exercise, meaning that you can do this exercise anywhere you want. Anytime you're sitting anywhere, you can just say, whoop, let me get into good posture. And you just do that. Lightly draw your shoulders down and back. I want you to feel like your head's being pulled to the ceiling. You should feel a weight coming off your head as you do that. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but you should feel like your head is lighter. Your tummy is turned on. Your back should feel more supported. So just doing something as simple as that, taking the activity of daily living and turning it into something that is meant to elicit an improvement, you have now exercised. So congratulations, you all just exercised. And that's probably all the exercises you're going to end up doing the rest of this presentation, I think. All right. So let's move on to not official law yet, but this is my own personal law of senior inactivity, okay? So the hard part is as we're working with seniors, and really you're working with almost anybody when it comes to exercise, is that we can't guarantee where we're gonna take you. We can't guarantee what improvements we're gonna see. I can't tell you that you're gonna, you work with me, you're gonna be without that walker in 2 months. It's not possible because there's so many massive amount of factors that come into, where exercise improvements will go. So we have to really live on the fact that we know that it's good for us, because we all know, again, right? And that the reason we are doing this is because there is one guarantee, and this is a guarantee that this is something that I have seen, okay, multiple times in my career of working with seniors for almost 15 years, okay? So you are guaranteed that if you do not find a way to get some exercise, right, more than activities of daily living, we cannot think activities of daily living are going to keep us able to do things, okay? So the one guarantee, if we don't put some work in, okay, you will start out with nothing. You will start out with no assisted devices. Now, what usually happens is people are doing their activities of daily living and not working on balance and fall prevention training. And one of the first things that come up is people start feeling more unstable, right? They recognize it as they're walking around the grocery store, something caught their eye to the right, they turn their head and they lost their balance a little bit, right? Or just as you're walking and looking around, or you're losing your eyesight a little bit, you're having trouble seeing things, you're feeling more unstable. So what's the first thing people do? They get a cane, right? So they move to a cane. Now with that cane, okay, a few things go on. Number one, usually means you're probably going a little less places, okay? You're probably not walking as much because you're slightly worried about losing your balance, but you feel a little better because you got the cane to lean on. But one thing that happens is when people use canes a lot, they end up leaning a lot to the side. Okay? So they start becoming one side dominant. And then there's more opportunities of feeling more unstable going the other way. So as you're moving around and you're coming to curbs, right? You got to step down a curb, you're realizing, oh, this doesn't feel safe whatsoever. And you're just relying on the activities of daily living to keep you able to do. You start feeling more unstable, start feeling weaker, right? So you think, okay, well, just for the places that I'm not comfortable with or long distances, I'm going to go to a walker. Now, once you go to a walker, there's even less places that you can go. Or there's every place you used to go to is now a little more difficult, right? A walker, you got to fold up, you got to put in the car. That's a pain in the butt, right? When you got the walker, it's bulky, it's hard to move around. You can't go to heavy social events, can't do as much. You maybe don't walk as far because maybe you live around. There's so many things that happen why once you have a walker, you tend to do less. Not to mention, because you're just living off of activities of the daily living and not supplementing movement, right? Causing that imposed demand, right? Then usually people think, well, for long distance, I'm going to just get a scooter. Okay. So then you move to a scooter. And now you're definitely not walking as far, right? You're definitely not getting up and down from a chair as much because you're in the scooter, you're already in the chair, okay? And your body is continuing to get weaker, okay? From there, the worst thing we could kind of see happen from there is you end up with a wheelchair where you got to rely on somebody else to help get you around. And then, of course, continuing, unfortunately, what can happen is the next place is a bed. Now, people could skip this phase. Somebody could be walking around with nothing, right? Their balance could be so unstable with nothing, trying not to have to use a cane or a walker that they could end up having a terrible fall, excuse me, and breaking something, which I don't want ever to happen to anybody. And you could skip right away to a walker or scooter phase, depending on your rehabilitation goes, depending on how much commitment you put towards exercise after rehabilitation, right? So people can skip phases too. And I swear this is going to get positive soon. Right alongside of this downward progression of losing of physical abilities comes the loss of cognitive abilities. So right along the list, our cognitive abilities completely go down at the same rate as our loss of physical abilities, because we're just doing less, right? If you're in a scooter and you're going to less social events because of it, you are socializing less, right? You're having less brain activity. You're doing less things, right? And then lastly, the other really stinky thing that goes up with all of this is cost. Cost skyrockets. Your medical costs. You're going to the doctor more. You're having to get more equipment. When you get to the wheelchair and the bed phase, you're having to pay for more people to come home. These are all things that I don't want to happen to anybody. But I will guarantee that this will happen if we do not find a way, and here's the positive, to stop you on the cycle wherever you are right now. Even if you're in a bed, I can get you to exercise. There are exercises you can do. If you're in a scooter, there are exercises you can do. We can do everything we can to try and keep you in this phase, right? As an example, if you're in a scooter, well, let's work on standing more, right? Let's work on getting out of the chair more. Let's work with the walker more. I would never guarantee that you will go from using a scooter all the time to a walker, and I never guarantee that you would go from a walker to a cane. But what I will say is that we will do everything we can to keep you in that assisted device and work really hard to improve your abilities, improve your activity level, and then good things might happen. But we don't know, and I can't guarantee it. But we don't want to see you going down this cycle anymore, which is your happiness is starting to be getting worse because you're feeling like you can't do as much, you're less social, right? Your cognitive abilities are declining, your medical costs are going on. It's a whole lot of reasons why we want to do everything we can to find a way for you to exercise now and keep what you got. And like I said, good things happen if we work to keep what you got. You know, and this is where it's really up to you. It's up to you to recognize where you are, right? And realize that you want to stay there, you want to work to stay there, and that will in itself be feeling better for you, right? We don't want to be in denial that none of this is happening, right? This is where the denial is, that anyone who says, like, I've never had to exercise before, why would I need it now? This is why you need it now. We want to combat this. So we'll move from there. So let's kind of cover some of the things that usually come up, reasons why people keep exercise out of their lives. So the first big one is that it hurts. So the first thing is to identify what hurts and where it hurts. If this is a knee, right? If you have a knee that's hurting you, well, guess what? You have another knee, you have a hip on that leg, you have an ankle on that leg that hurts, right? Got a whole nother limb, you got a torso, you got two arms, you got a neck, and you need to be able to do the things you need to do in your life. So we cannot just let the knee pain stop you from being able to do things, okay? The next thing is, how much can you move that painful area without being in pain, right? Can you move it a little? Because moving it a little is 100 times better than moving it not at all, right? I'll constantly work with people who tell me they can't exercise because they have a torn rotator cuff. Well, first of all, when did you tear the rotator cuff? A lot of people, it's like 10 years ago. Okay, well, it's not torn anymore. It's healed in some capacity, right? It just means that it ends up hurting because you probably haven't used it. So the ability to move this shoulder going like this is better than going like nothing, right? If you can move it like this, let's keep that. Let's keep that range right there. Let's do everything we can to keep it. And I don't want to put you through pain. Now, when it comes to that pain, we want manageable discomfort. Excuse me. There is an old phrase that I hear all the time, which is no pain, no gain. Well, that's not true, okay? I like to say no manageable discomfort, no gain. Meaning if you can manage through that discomfort, we are good. It is most likely safe. You will know when it's pain. Pain means you retract, right? If you were lifting your arm and you hit pain, you would retract your arm right away and be like, I don't want to do that again. But then can we go just before that pain in that manageable discomfort zone and at least do something to keep that part of your body moving? What can we do just a little bit to keep what little bit we got, right? Because we know the effects of doing nothing, right? We know that just living off our activities of daily living, we are going to lose the ability to do those activities of daily living. It is a guarantee, right? So we gotta keep doing stuff. The really disappointing fact is that it's pretty much nearly impossible to do some kind of exercise and not have an increase in aches and pains. Now remember, I did just say I don't want you to be in pain. What you gotta understand is if you have a painful joint, a painful region in your body, right? Aches on top of pain doesn't come across as aches, it comes across as more pain. So you've got to recognize, if you've got a painful area, you've got to recognize when that increase of pain happens, right? So if you have a painful knee and you do certain exercises, and then you have an increase of pain when you use it, well, that's probably normal because that is the muscle soreness around the knee joint that you're feeling on top of the usual discomfort, probably pretty normal. If you feel that pain and you're not moving the joint whatsoever, that's what's abnormal, right? So if you're sprinkling muscle soreness in a painful reason, it's going to come across as pain. So recognize it. And then does that increase in pain, does that disappear in 1 or 2 days? Does that increase of pain disappear after you move that joint a little bit more? Because truthfully, the best way to get rid of achy muscles is to move it some more. There's a lactic acid buildup in there. And the more you move the muscles, the better they are at pulling out the lactic acid that causes the soreness, and you might be good. One thing to note also along with this pain is that first, second, and third movements stink. They're terrible, always, especially as we age. Cold mornings, how's getting out of bed feel? Awful. How's it feel after you get up and you walk around for a little bit? Better, right? So you gotta understand that if you move your body once and it hurts, reset, try again 1 or 2 more times. Because a lot of times that pain is an instinctive flash of pain to protect that joint that usually hurts you. And it might actually go away after a little bit. Like we said, there's a reason we do, not like I said, I haven't said it yet, but there's a reason we do warm up in exercise. It warms your body up, right? Lubricates the joints, right? The joints move better, the muscles are warmer, everything is better with a warm up. So just take that into consideration. If you do a little bit of exercises you haven't done before, the next day or 2, you might feel an increase in soreness, but check that soreness, check that pain that you're getting. Is it probably soreness? And try to move that area again and see how it goes, okay? The danger out of this informational feedback loop that people have is that they exercise once, the next few days they hurt so bad afterwards that it tells them, it reminds them that they can't exercise anymore. And then they wait again until that soreness is gone. It's usually 4 to 7 days. And then they try again and they have that same soreness and eventually they believe that it's something that's not attainable for you. So you got to make a little bit of a commitment to try and do whatever you're starting out to do a few days in the week, even through some of the increase in discomfort you have in And that increase in discomfort will slowly decrease over time. Okay. And lastly, just to reinforce what I just said, is defining your pain, which is this soreness, do I think, or is this actual pain, right? And a lot of times people describe soreness as being pain. It's totally separate. Think back to the manageable discomfort, right? Manageable discomfort is like a, okay, I can do it. Pain is, ow, that's pain. Okay, so if you retract, that's pain. All right. Moving on, another way we keep it out of our lives is I don't feel like it. This is a issue that happens to everybody, no matter what age they are. Okay, it's just I don't feel like it. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit later about goals, but giving yourself an easy goal to reach is hugely important. Okay, something that is attainable, meaning that if you don't feel like it, say, I just want to do one exercise. I'm going to get through one exercise. Here's the one exercise I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. Or I'm just going to do something for 5 minutes. I'm going to go for a 5-minute walk. Heck, I'm going to go for a 2-minute walk. Just get yourself started. There's a massive amount of data, and possibly you have personal experience, meaning that once you get started on something, you are more likely to do it for longer than not starting it, right? So find a way to set your expectation level at a place that you can start. And then hopefully if you just do one exercise, you might feel like, okay, I think I could do one more exercise. Or you know what, instead of 5 minutes, I think I could walk for 10 minutes, right? But you won't know if you'll feel like that until you start. So set yourself an easy goal to reach. And it's always important to compare how you feel at the end of breaking through that barrier of I don't feel like it compared to how you felt in the beginning, right? Because most likely once you are done, you're going to feel a whole lot better, and you're going to remind yourself continually that I always feel better after I've done something. And don't be hard on yourself. If yesterday you did 15 minutes and today you only feel like doing 5, great, because that's better than 0. Okay, so we are just wonderful beings at putting our own selves down. Recognize 2 minutes is better than no minutes. It doesn't, yesterday, if it's done and you did 15 and today you only do 5, great, because that's better than nothing, okay? So that is a really hard barrier to overcome, but some of those little keys might help you. Okay, probably the most common phrase that I hear out of seniors is that I just can't do what I used to do. Okay, most important thing, stop comparing yourself to your younger self. I know you will. I know it's hard to stop. No matter what age we are, we all do. I'm 40. I would still love to play certain sports like I could when I was 20, but it's not beneficial for me to dwell on it, right? Because it's just not possible. Okay? I just can't do the things I could do when I was 20. Just like when you're 80, 85, 90, you're not going to be able to do the things you could do when you were 70. So if you are doing exercises and you're saying things like, I used to do this, which I hear constantly, it has no relevance to now. What matters now is like that cycle we talked about. Where are you now and where are we trying to go to tomorrow? So you gotta keep your eye on the target, that all that matters is what you're gonna do today and what you're gonna do tomorrow. And that's where you wanna stay. You've gotta manage your expectations, meaning that I'm not seeing any benefit. And I'm gonna give you an anecdote. I have a woman here who I worked with for 8 years. Okay, we started working when she was 88, right? So when she came in, not active whatsoever, struggled walking, okay? Super frustrated with how fast she could walk, super frustrated with her energy level and her ability to do things. We worked 3 days a week, okay? Our sessions are either 30 minutes or an hour. We've worked 3 days a week together for 8 years. She never changed. She never lost her abilities. We kept her where she was. And all we did was work 3 days a week, 30 minutes a day, and we kept her abilities. Now, is it frustrating for her and me sometimes? Sure, it can be, because we really want to see improvements. But what are our expectations here? If we're only working 3 days a week for 30 minutes, and that's the only physical activity she's doing, we're doing really well. We are keeping her ability to keep doing her life exactly where it was when she started doing some exercise. So we've got to manage our expectations. If you are going into starting exercise, or you are currently exercising and you are hoping to get away from a walker to never using a walker, that's an expectation that is really hard to get to, right? It's an expectation that is not attainable. If you're in your walker and you really want to get away from your walker, well, your expectation should be, okay, I want to move better with my walker now. I want to be able to walk more with my walker now. I want to be safer with my walker now. I want to feel like I can go down hills more with my walker. I want to feel that I can maneuver around tight spaces better with my walker. I want to feel safer at those times that I have to be away from my walker, that my balance is still good enough so that I'm not going to have any falls when I'm away from my walker. Those are all expectations that we should be looking at. So individually, you have to look at what your expectations are and make sure that you can attain them. I'm really sorry, I can't stop you from aging. No matter what, as we age, it takes work to keep what we got. It just does. Doesn't matter what age you are, you got to put some work in to keep it. Like we've talked about, activities of daily living do not keep your ability to do things. Okay. And lastly, refresh yourself to what we talked about, the difference of ADLs versus exercise. Okay. So think simple. Okay. When you say I can't do what I used to, just think about the things that you can do right now and how you can improve upon them. All right. Last one is I never had to exercise in my life. I think I've covered a lot of this. You simply need to refer yourself to my personal law of senior inactivity. It is something that you need to do. We got to find a way for you to do it. You know, one thing also to note is that, you know, especially for the senior generation now, your lives are way more active than they are now. Not just because of your age, but because of your lifestyles, right? Most seniors lived in an area where they would walk to a store, right? They would have to walk to the phone, right? And we might all forget this, but now everybody has a cell phone in their pocket. You don't even have to walk to the phone. You know what I mean? So our lives are very different. A lot of jobs for a lot of seniors, when their job was way more active than anything they were doing now. So there's a chance that their job and just the way of life was just more active in terms of activities of daily living than it is now. So that's why we have to supplement the movement. We have to find a way to fit some exercise in. So how are we going to do that? 5 components of senior fitness. This is what MBK Fit, our program. We create our program off of these 5 components. Most of you are familiar with all of these components, from cardiovascular exercise, strength exercise, flexibility and range of motion exercise, balance and fall prevention, and holistic exercise. Okay, so let's break it down a little bit. Let's get a little more specific for you, because I know all of you would like some things that you can do. So when we look at cardiovascular exercise, this is a repetitive movement that is done in order to raise your heart rate. Now, this is where, when most people think of cardiovascular exercise, they think of, you know, running on a treadmill, walking long distances, quick repetitive movements for 15, 20, 30 minutes. So think more simple about cardiovascular movements. If you are not walking very much, an example of one movement, you could just do stepping in place, 4 rounds for 30 seconds with 30-second breaks in between. You know, that's going to give you 4 minutes worth of work. And that is a great baseline. You could increase that amount of time or decrease that amount of time. Another great workout that you can do is what's called a Tabata. It's based on a Japanese professor. Last name was Tabata. He designed this program, which 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest for 8 times. You would be amazed at how quickly this will increase your heart rate or your rate of perceived exertion. You know, and another example, there's recent studies coming out right now that show that high intensity interval training, like 20 seconds of work with 10 seconds of rest, is having lasting effects way more than doing 30, 40, 50-minute sessions. Okay, so finding ways to fit in some kind of movement. It could just be sitting in place and punching for 20 seconds or 30 seconds, resting for the same amount, and doing it again. It will raise your heart rate. One thing to take into consideration is blood pressure medication. Okay, so blood pressure medication will not raise your heart rate, but you will raise your breathing rate. So when it comes to the rate of perceived exertion, okay, it's like a pain scale. 1 being you feel nothing to 10 feeling the most worst pain in the world. The rate of perceived exertion is 1 is how you felt when you started exercising. 10 is you're going to collapse. You're so exhausted. So it's subjective, but you want to stay right within the 7 or 6 range, maybe 8 when it comes to how hard you feel like you're working. And then you'll kind of set a good goal for how hard you should work for cardiovascular exercise. So again, it does not have to be long periods of time of walking. You can shrink it down. You could get it done in a commercial break while watching your news station. You can just stand up during a commercial break, step in place for 30 seconds, or step in place for that whole commercial break, right? And then rest. And you're hitting that cardiovascular range, okay? Moving on, we got strength training, okay? So strength exercise is any exercise that you do to make your muscles stronger. You want to think small at first and think about the things that you're struggling to do. It is very common for seniors to struggle to get out of a chair or get out of a low couch at their kid's house, right? You know, the dreaded low couch at the kid's house you couldn't get out of. So when it comes to strength training exercises, you do not have to have weights. You can just do sit to stands, which is literally going from sitting to standing repetitively 10 to 15 times. Trying to do it without your hands, but if you have to use your hands to start, that's fine. But that's going to hit your strength training and help continue to keep your legs strong. You can do wall push-ups, simply putting your hands on the wall, walking back a few steps, and doing wall push-ups, okay? You can grab a weight, grab anything you want, or nothing at all, and just do an overhead raise, okay? You can also do sit-ups in chair, which is scooting your butt forward, right? And back and forward. You can actually do sit-ups in a chair, nice and slow, tightening your tummy. And depending on where you're at and your own ability level, just think back to that posture exercise we did a little bit ago, which is that just the act of standing in place with good posture can be a strength exercise because you have muscles that need to get stronger to keep you in good posture. So just standing or sitting with good posture can be a beneficial strength exercise. We've got flexibility and range of motion exercises to kind of just define the difference because it's important. Flexibility is how far your muscles can elongate. Okay. Range of motion is how far the joint can move. So they're very much related, but not the same. Everybody, when they think about flexibility, and especially for seniors, and honestly, most people, they can't stand stretching. It's boring, doesn't feel great, it burns, it's uncomfortable. Okay, that's the static stretching, which is what you usually do 3 to 5 times. Right, you would just, an example is this shoulder stretch, pull your arm across and hold it for 30 to 45 seconds, okay, and do 3 to 5 reps. Yes, that is beneficial, absolutely. But I also want you to think about active or dynamic stretching because it's a very important neurological training exercise. What we have to understand is if a muscle, for one muscle to turn on, or in this case, an arm to come across, there's a whole nother muscle that has to relax, it has to release. And that's what your body does all day long, no matter what movement you do. So an example, if you get in a position where you can straighten your knee all the way out in front of you and then pull your toes towards you, you're gonna feel a stretch, right? You're gonna feel the muscles turning on to keep that position, and you're gonna feel muscles stretching. So an active stretch would be to hold that position for 3 seconds. I want you to bring your knee and your heel all the way underneath you and then straighten it out again and hold it for 3 seconds. So you're actively moving the joint through its range of motion and actively stretching your muscles because that's how your body moves throughout the day. Your body muscles have to stretch in order for other muscles to work, okay? Balance and fall is probably the most important subject on seniors' minds. Some things I really want you to think about, which is that walking in itself does not help your fall prevention. And I understand it can probably be disappointing for some people, but there's a reason. When we walk, we do everything we can not to trip, stumble, or lose our balance. Everything we can. The entire basis of trying to train our balance to improve and prevent falls is we have to challenge our body to keep its balance. So when you're walking, you're not challenging your body to the point where it's going to improve to help prevent falls. So we got to supplement some other things. You've got to challenge your body to balance in order to improve your balance and prevent falls. We want a place to be is that a loss of balance does not equal a fall. And what ends up happening for seniors is because the falling is so scary, which is totally appropriate. It is horrifying to fall, okay? A loss of balance does not have to equal a fall. And the reason is because everybody their entire life has not really fallen often. We have all stumbled, tripped, lost our balance, gotten dizzy, missed a step, and most of our life not fallen. So why is that? That's because our body reacts to prevent the fall. As long as we keep our feet underneath us, when that stumble or trip or loss of balance happens, we're good. We don't have a fall. But as we age, as we become deconditioned, as we get weaker, as we don't challenge our body to keep its balance, that's how falls happen, meaning that the loss of balance starts to equate a fall. We don't want that. So there's 4 parts of fall prevention. This is maintaining our balance. So challenging your eyes, ears, and limbs. Those are the 3 systems that keep you steady. As an example, most of you probably feel much more unsteady when you turn and look your head somewhere because your inner ear canal with the fluid in it, and your eyes, those are 2 of your 3 balance systems. So the minute you turn your head, you're challenging 2 of 3 balance systems, and you're more likely to lose your balance. The second is recognizing the loss of stability, meaning the quicker your body recognizes that you are losing stability, that increases your reaction time and your reflexes kick in to keep your feet underneath you. The scariest thing that I hear from seniors is that they don't know they fell until they hit the floor. That means that their system is giving them feedback so late that they don't even know it until they hit the floor. That is really scary. So we've also got to train your system to recognize instability, to recognize when it's in trouble early enough so that you can move your feet and you can recover balance, which is the quick feet to recover balance. You have to be able to shift your weight quickly to move your feet where they need to go to prevent a fall. And the last part of fall prevention is fear reduction. If we hit the first 3, fear reduction starts to decrease, meaning that you start feeling confident. The best thing I hear when we are working with seniors and training them on balance is that they go home and sometime they come back to me and they say, I lost my balance, but I didn't fall. Meaning that they recognize the trouble and they move their feet to prevent the fall. That's what we want. So some simple balance exercises you can do at home. Okay, there's static balance, which means you're not moving at all. Okay, which is you can stand with your feet together like this. These are your feet. You can stand with 1 foot forward. Okay, and you can stand wide. Okay, so the simple foot positions. And one thing to know is when you have 1 foot forward or feet together, the wider it is, the easier it is. Okay, so if you have 1 foot forward and it's just too scary, move the feet a little wider and try there. It will get easier. Okay, width is very important for your feeling of stability. And then we have dynamic balance exercises, which just involves moving. This is how we combat hopefully preventing a fall when the unexpected happens, because it is guaranteed you're going to stumble, trip, get dizzy, lose your balance, miss a step. It's guaranteed it's going to happen. It is all about how your body is ready to react to it. So in safe places, working on side stepping is very important. Okay, stepping in a square, so stepping forward, side, back, side, and then returning the other directions. Up, up, down is really important, right? Diagonal stepping, so stepping forward and over, forward and over. Quick feet, because the quicker you can weight shift, the quicker you can move your feet, the quicker you can prevent a fall. Working on long steps. Notice that these are all things you do in your life, usually once or twice throughout a day. You might have to take a long step to step over something, right? Like your little dog. And crossing over if it's in a safe environment, which is, okay, crossing over. For all of these exercises, some very important things is, number one, it's in a safe place. You need to have something that you can grab onto. You want to perform the exercises without holding on, because we can't teach your body to balance with your hands, okay? But you need to have something safe. So make sure it's in a safe environment. I like 2 chairs around people, or a chair and a countertop, okay? So that there's things to grab onto, okay? And we want to be in the Goldilocks zone on balance exercises, which is not too hard, not too easy, just right. If it's too hard, you'll just be holding on to something. If it's too easy, your body is not going to learn. Think the SAID principle, impose demands. You want it to be just right, where you're slightly challenged to elicit that improvement. Okay, we're going to move on because I am running out of time. I'm sorry, I'm long-winded. Very important is holistic exercises. We do here at MBK, we do yoga and Tai Chi, meditation. There's also I Chi if you ever want to look into it. It is aquatic Tai Chi. It's really cool. So you want to find a way to get some moments of Zen into your life, which could just be sitting in place for 2 minutes with your eyes closed and breathing. There's lots of options, okay? we're going to just run through some little nuggets of somewhat wisdom that I have. I need you to think about the big picture of your body, that any movement, it's a complex coordinated pattern of muscles. The more times you try to move throughout the day, the better it is for you, right? Remember, your body will adapt. Show it why it needs to adapt and improve. So the more you move, the better overall. You got to understand that unstable joints or weakness, it leads to more injury and pain. That weakness just compounds into instability in other locations. If you have weakness in one area, the rest of your body has to make up for it, and that can be abused and overused, okay? Remember, arthritic joints, they are supported by muscles. We can't change arthritis in your joint, but we can make the muscles stronger. So we find ways to make your muscles stronger. Understand that there's no magic pill or surgery that can make you stronger. I'm sorry. When I figure it out, I will let you know, because I will be very rich, okay? We want to change you from chronic lack of activity to chronic activity. This is a lifelong change, so start easy. It's not an antibiotic. Start small. Ramp yourself up into exercise. Make it attainable for yourself. Utilize physical therapy, but it's not necessarily a supplement for exercise. Physical therapy ends. You got to keep doing something else, okay? As far as how much exercise you need in a day, it is recommended 30 to 45 minutes of moderate exercise per day, but guess what? You can break it up. Doesn't matter. You don't have to do 30 to 45 minutes a day. Again, you do 7 or 8 commercial breaks of exercise, and you've hit that 30 to 45 minutes of moderate exercise, if I did my math right, okay? Give yourself a morning wake up, a few exercises to do in the morning. Again, waking up, moving the first time stinks. It just does, okay? Find a midday walk, an extra walk in the day. Try to add distance or speed or less resting to your daily walk, okay? Maybe a few exercises in the middle, a few sit-to-stands on a bench in between your daily walk, okay? Try new things, find a partner, put exercise in your personal calendar, treat it like a doctor appointment, okay? I can't say it enough, utilize technology, okay? Technology is amazing. I'm not gonna tell you which ones are best. All I want you to do is move. Find DVDs that'll help that you like. Utilize on-demand technology if you're good with the internet to help just get you to move, because it's easier to have somebody tell you what to do than it is to self-motivate, okay? Write down the changes you wanna reach. Write down your goals and the changes you need to do to reach those goals. Remember, goals need to be attainable. Make sure there are things that you can reach so that you can always reset goals once you reach those small goals, right? And 5 minutes is always better than no minutes. Okay. And lastly, I just wanted to tell you quickly about the MBK Fit program. This is all based in what I just talked about. Our job is to provide what I just talked about, to provide for our residents that. We want an instructor-driven program that inspires and motivates our residents for lifelong health and wellness habits. Always has to be fun, dynamic, diverse, and accessible to all, meaning every single person can do something in an MBK Fit program. We have exercises for you, okay? And I'll just like I said, progressive, instructor driven. There's no better motivator than an instructor that you like, right? That makes a fun and dynamic environment that inspires. So that's what we offer at MBK Fit, which is we offer full-time personal trainers on staff, group exercise classes for all ability levels, one-on-one training service, a fitness center. We offer the holistic mind and body programming, which is a part of our 5 components of senior fitness. And we always want things to be fun and social. And lastly, the most important thing for me is that all of our instructors are warm and understanding and patient and fun and personable. So, you know, I'm long-winded, so I left it a little bit rushed at the end. I'm sorry to speak so long.
But I thank you so much, Donald.
Yeah.
That was extremely, extremely informative. And I kind of think we need a part 2. So you could dig a little bit deeper into MBK Fit and maybe even show us some moves.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you all, but I was in my office doing the wall push-ups. I was doing sit to stand while you were talking. So I would love to continue this further and possibly do a part 2 of this. Would you be up for it?
Of course. Absolutely.
Awesome. And at that point, we could address the additional questions that came in during the workshop. Okay. And with that said, thank you again, Donald. It was absolutely our pleasure to host this for you all. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Donald himself. He is, again, quite a wealth of knowledge, and we are so lucky to have him on the MBK team. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, y'all. Thank you very, very much for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.